Medical matters always very popular on the programme. What we're going to do now is we're opening up our summer surgery.
Yeah, Dr. Ranj is with us today.
You'd be a very good receptionist in a doctor's surgery.
Yes, I'd quite like that.
You'd be the sort of person that
Well, I'm sorry, he's very busy.
Yes.
You have to talk to me first.
Dr.
Maybe you've got a
Ranj.
slot.
And it's first aid to keep your children safe this summer. But before you run us through that, Ranj, you put together a few tips on sun protection.
Very
That's where
important,
we're going to begin.
yeah.
Children will rack up most of their lifetime sun exposure before they are 18, so it's important to protect them when they are most vulnerable. Firstly, make sure you use sun cream generously and throughout the day, and make sure it's at least SPF 30 with 4 stars of UVA protection. Trendy sunglasses may look cute, but they must be able to protect children's eyes. When shopping for shades, try to go for wraparound designs and make sure they block as close to 100% of UV radiation as possible. This is what we mean by the UV 400 label. Also, check that they are CE and British Standard marked. Remember that sunburn increases your chances of developing skin cancer, so physical methods to reduce sun exposure are essential. Your child's head is one of the most exposed areas, so look for a wide-brimmed hat that shades their face, neck and ears. Finally, heat waves increase the chances of sun and heat stroke, so make sure your child takes regular breaks in a cool, shaded area, especially between 11 AM and 3 PM, and drinks plenty throughout the day. Ideally, any sunshades or umbrellas should offer a UPF rating of 40+.
Yeah, very, very good advice, and that's obviously all prevention, which we know we should all be doing. However, if you slip up and your child does get sunburn,
well,
what do you do?
It's so easy to get sunburn in weather like this. And the important thing is, yes, prevention is the biggest key, but if it happens, you know, cool yourself down, cool the area down. You can use cold sprays, cold flannels, wear loose clothing. I would say there are lots of creams and things out there, soothing creams, if it's really
there's
bad.
aloe vera creams
Aloe vera,
and cooling
calamine.
gels and things.
Yeah, lots of great products out there. If it's really bad, you might need a mild steroid.
Should you go to the doctor if it's really bad?
There are 3 instances that you should really go. If it looks really, really bad, you might need something strong. If it's a very small child, or if you've got signs of dehydration or heat stroke or sunstroke, I think then you really need to consider whether you need to go.
And what would be the first signs of dehydration in a very young child?
Dehydration is usually lethargy, tiredness, actually, and not passing much urine. Their skin might look a bit looser, their eyes might look sunken, and they may not produce tears. So in those cases, you really need to think about dehydration.
It's very dangerous, isn't it?
Yes, especially in this weather.
And you know, I mean, kids think that they get hydrated by drinking soft drinks. Often these drinks make them more thirsty. I mean, it's really water. If you can encourage them to drink water.
It's any drink is good. Any drink is good. I know kids have a tendency to go for sweet things, and if that's the only thing you can get in them, great. But ice lollies, jelly, ice cream, great ways of getting fluid.
Is that good for us too?
Yeah, I wouldn't restrict that, just the kids.
Now, we were all talking in our meeting this morning, a lot of mums in there, all worried about the heat at home at the moment, and saying, my baby's room was so hot last night. And I remember that with Jack. I used to get really worried about it because he hated the window open. He had this kind of fear. He didn't, I don't know, monsters would come in or something. So how do you cool a child at night for them to sleep?
It's a lot of it, I suppose, is straightforward. Opening windows, making sure that you try and cool the whole house down if you can before bedtime. If you're going to use a fan, then try not to put it directly on your child. Have it circulating the air in the room, purely because with small children, they may not, if they get too cold, may not be able to move away from the fan. So it's good to have it in the room. Some people have a cold bowl of water in front of the fan. That can help cool things down a bit. Puts moisture back in the air.
That's a good idea.
And with small ones, single layers of clothing, single covers, and make sure that their head is uncovered, because that's where kids lose heat.
Now, when the heat happens, lots of bugs and insects and things come out. And
What's your favourite thing?
Mosquitoes love me. They
They do.
just suck my blood dry. I'm itching. I've got lumps all over me because they attack me, whatever they're doing.
It's your pheromones.
Yeah, people say it's often very highly sexed people that they're attracted to. I don't, but anyway.
They leave me alone, funnily.
But when it comes to insect bites in general, it is a fear for people, or nettles, because kids are out playing in grass and all that sort of thing. What would you say there?
Well, the advice really depends on what bites you, and lots of different insects and bugs will bite you, and they either sting you and inject saliva, which you react to, or they inject some venom, which you react to, and that's what causes that sort of irritated, inflamed, red, painful blister, usually, or some sort of spot. Usually they're minor, they will settle by themselves. You can just wash the area and, you know, keep it cool if you can. You might need to use an antihistamine cream, or there's sprays available, or if it's really bad, you may need to use a steroid cream. And some people say if it's something like a bee sting, you can try and scratch it out. Don't squeeze or tweeze it, because you might spread the venom under the skin and make the reaction a bit worse.
Yeah, somebody said you get your nail.
Yeah.
So if the sting is sticking out of the skin...
Use your nail to gently encourage it out. That's it. Or use the edge of a credit card.
Oh,
yes.
Because that's
a very good way of doing it.
Sharpish.
Yeah, but if you're getting symptoms of a generalised allergy, if you're having breathing difficulties, feeling unwell, then you may need to go and see a doctor.
And actually, my mum's allergic to wasps.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was quite frightening the first time that happened to her, because her throat was all swelling up and she was finding it hard to breathe. It's quite scary, isn't it?
Your child may be prescribed something called an EpiPen, if that is the case, if they're having bad reactions to insect bites, and that is done by an allergy specialist.
Also, food doesn't last well in heat, and there can be some repercussions because of that. Food poisoning, what have you got to say about that?
Well, everyone's having barbecues at the moment, aren't they? So you've got to make sure your food is cooked thoroughly. Food poisoning happens because bacteria or viruses, which are germs that contaminate food, get into your system. Usually you get symptoms 1 to 3 days after eating the affected food. Tummy ache, fever, vomiting, diarrhoea, that sort of stuff. Important thing is symptomatic treatment. Vast majority will get better by themselves. So hydration, pain relief and rest. If you've got things like signs of dehydration and you're worried, if it's a very small child, or if you've got blood in the poo, or your child looks pale, then you should definitely seek medical advice.
If it goes on too long as well.
Absolutely, if it goes on for too long.
Lovely.
Thank you very much indeed,
Great
Doctor.
advice, Dr. Ranj.
For any further advice or information, anything Dr. Ranj has been showing us and talking about today, go to the website. Thank you.
Now, still to come, we've got our new style queen.